Picture this scenario, because I know, deep down, you have lived it. Maybe you are even living it right this second. You're going about your day, maybe you're washing dishes, driving to work, or trying to focus on a spreadsheet that makes absolutely no sense, and suddenly, boom, a face pops into your mind. It is that one person, the one you haven't spoken to in weeks, months, or maybe even years, and there is no text on your phone, no DM, no missed call, literally zero communication. Yet, they are taking up prime real estate in your brain, sitting there like a squatter who refuses to pay rent. It makes you stop dead in your tracks and wonder, why on earth am I thinking about them right now? And does this mean they're thinking about me too? It's a feeling that sits somewhere between hope and frustration, a nagging curiosity that feels almost magnetic, and you start spiraling, analyzing the last thing they said, the way they looked at you, or that unfinished conversation that hangs in the air like static electricity. You feel crazy, right? Like you are the only one obsessed with a ghost. But here's the first little secret that's going to blow your mind. You are not crazy, and this phenomenon isn't random. It's actually a very specific psychological mechanism your brain uses to handle unresolved data. And once you understand it, you stop being a victim to these thoughts and start becoming the master of your own emotional state. We need to talk about the open loop concept, because this is why your brain is punishing you. The human brain is designed to be a problem-solving machine. It hates ambiguity more than anything else. So when a relationship or a connection ends without a clear, logical conclusion, maybe they ghosted, maybe things just fizzled out, or maybe you never told them how you really felt, your brain categorizes that file as pending. In psychology, this is called the Zeigarnik Effect, which suggests that people remember uncompleted or interrupted tasks better than completed ones. Your brain is essentially nagging you to finish the task, to close the loop, so it keeps serving you their image, their name, and memories of them, not because it wants to torture you, but because it is trying to force you to find a resolution that might not exist in the real world. That is a massive aha moment, isn't it? It means thinking about them doesn't necessarily mean they're your soulmate or that the universe is sending you a sign. It often just means your subconscious is annoyed that the puzzle isn't finished. But wait, it gets deeper, because if it was just about finishing a task, you would think about them for a week and move on. But you don't, do you? You think about them for months. Why? Because of the dopamine hit. Every time you think about them, even if it's painful, your brain releases a tiny cocktail of chemicals associated with the anticipation of reward. You are not addicted to the person, you're addicted to the potential of what the person represented. Think about slot machines in a casino. If you won every time, you'd get bored. If you lost every time, you'd quit. But the machine gives you intermittent reinforcement. You win just enough to keep pulling the lever. That person who is silent, they're the ultimate slot machine. The silence is the loss, but the memory of how they made you feel is the win, and your brain keeps pulling the lever of memory, hoping for a jackpot that isn't coming. This is where it gets tricky, and frankly, a little bit dangerous for your mental health, because you start to romanticize the silence. You start telling yourself a story. You think, maybe they're silent because they're too shy to reach out, or maybe they miss me too much to speak. We've all done this. We create a Hollywood movie script where their silence is actually a deep poetic longing. But let's look at the cold, hard reality for a second. Usually, silence is just silence. It's not a code, it's not a hidden message, but your brain refuses to accept that because the reality is boring and painful, whereas the fantasy you're constructing in your head is exciting and safe. This brings us to the concept of limerence. Limerence is a state of mind which results from a romantic attraction to another person and typically includes obsessive thoughts and fantasies and a desire to form or maintain a relationship with the object of love and have one's feelings reciprocated. It's different from love. Love is calm. Love is secure. Limerence is anxiety, uncertainty, and constant mental replay. If you are constantly thinking about someone who isn't communicating with you, you are likely in a state of limerence, feeding on the uncertainty. But here's the twist that is going to change how you see this whole situation. What if the person you're missing isn't actually them? What if it's you? I know, that sounds like a riddle, but stay with me.
Often when we fixate on someone from our past or someone we can't have, we're actually fixating on a version of ourselves that they brought out. Maybe when you were with them, you felt adventurous, or attractive, or understood, or intellectually challenged. Now that they're gone, you feel like that part of you is gone too. So you aren't mourning the person, you're mourning the you that existed in their presence. Your brain uses their image as a symbol for that lost feeling. You think, I miss John, but actually you miss feeling desired. You think, I miss Sarah, but actually you miss feeling like you had a partner in crime. This is huge because it gives you the power back. If you realize you miss the feeling and not the person, you can find ways to generate that feeling on your own without needing them to text you back. But let's go a layer deeper into the spiritual or energetic side of things, because I know a lot of you feel this intuition. You feel like, no, I know this is real. I can feel their energy. While psychology explains the brain habits, we can't ignore that sometimes thoughts do feel intrusive, like they're being beamed in. Have you ever heard of the reticular activating system, or RAS? It's a bundle of nerves at our brainstem that filters out unnecessary information so the important stuff gets through. When you buy a red car, suddenly you see red cars everywhere. Did everyone buy a red car today? No, your RAS is primed to look for them. When you decide this person is important, your RAS goes on high alert. A song on the radio, a cologne in the crowd, a phrase someone says, everything reminds you of them because your brain is literally hunting for clues of them. You are creating a self-fulfilling prophecy where the world seems full of signs pointing to them, but really, you're just wearing them-colored glasses. This matters because it breaks the spell. It stops you from feeling like you're under some mystic curse or destined fate that you can't control. You are controlling it, albeit subconsciously. Now let's talk about the danger zone, limerence. When there is no communication, there is no reality check. If you are actually talking to this person every day, you'd remember that they chew loudly, or they interrupt you, or they have emotional baggage that drains you. But in the silence, in the vacuum of no contact, they become perfect. They become a statue of perfection. You're competing with a fantasy version of them that doesn't exist. You're putting them on a pedestal so high that nobody else, not even a new potential partner, can reach it. This keeps you stuck. It keeps you lonely. You're effectively dating a ghost. And guess what? The ghost never lets you down because the ghost doesn't do anything. This is why it's so comfortable to stay in this mental loop. It protects you from the risk of real love, real rejection, in real life. It's a safety mechanism. Your brain thinks, if I obsess over this inattainable person, I don't have to go out there and risk getting hurt by someone new. It's a twisted form of self-protection. Realizing this can be a punch to the gut, but it's the good kind of pain, the kind that wakes you up. So what happens when you finally stop? What happens when you decide to evict this squatter from your mind? The withdrawal hits, and it is withdrawal. You will feel bored, you will feel empty, because you don't have that go-to daydream to distract you from your stressful job or your lonely apartment. You have to face the void. But facing the void is the only way to fill it with something real. You have to start interrupting the pattern. Every time they pop into your head, you have to acknowledge it without judgment, don't get mad at yourself, and then gently pivot. Say to yourself, I'm thinking about them because I'm bored, lonely, or anxious, not because they're the one. Reframe the narrative. Instead of, they're on my mind because we have a soul connection, try, they're on my mind because my brain prefers familiar pain over unfamiliar change. See the difference? One makes you helpless, the other makes you rational. Let's address the elephant in the room. What if they do come back? What if, just as you're moving on, they text you? This happens all the time, and it's not magic. It's often because when you stop obsessing, you stop energetically chasing. You stop checking their socials, which, be honest, you are doing, and the algorithms know it, and maybe you're popping up on their suggested friends list. When you pull your energy back, you recenter yourself. But be careful. If they come back, remember the reality, not the fantasy. Remember why the communication stopped in the first place. Do not let the relief of hearing from them erase the reality of their absence. You deserve consistency, not crumbs. You deserve someone who is present, not a puzzle you have to solve in the middle of the night. The fact that they are in your mind without communication is a sign, yes, but it is a sign to look inward, not outward. It is a sign that there is a part of your heart that is asking for attention, a part of your life that feels incomplete, or a creative energy that has nowhere to go, so it is channeling into obsession. Take that energy, that immense, powerful mental focus you are wasting on someone who isn't there, and point it at your own life. Imagine if you obsessed over your goals, your health, or your passion projects with the same intensity you obsess over this person. You would be unstoppable. You would be unrecognizable in 6 months. The ultimate closure is realizing you don't need them to explain why they left or why they are silent. You just need to understand why you were holding on. The door isn't locked, you're just standing in front of it staring at the handle. Turn around, look at the rest of the room, look at the rest of your life. It is waiting for you. And trust me, the moment you truly, deeply let go, not pretend to let go to get them back, but actually let go, is usually the moment you realize you never needed them to complete you in the first place.